Welcome to the Miami Grand Prix weekend here in the 4th season of the F1 driver career. We're 89 rated. You can see just up there that we're nearly 90 rated now as an overall driver rating, which is going to be good for us in terms of our reputation compared to our teammate George Russell. Once we get to 50% recognition, a couple more upgrades become available on the car. So in the meantime, we will keep building those resource points, although we have minimal opportunity to build the resource points today because it's a sprint weekend, so only the one practice session, not the usual 3. Mixed conditions in the sprint, as you can see. A fully wet qualifying, as you can see. And praise the Lord, a fully dry race behind me here. It's all sunshine. Thank Christ. So after the victory in China, which came about in rather ridiculous circumstances, if you missed the Chinese Grand Prix episode, it's absolutely worth your watch. That wasn't just a straightforward victory, that one, at all. Or even close to it. We're very, very, very much one of a front pack of cars that are at the front of the grid. Ferrari still slightly edge it. Aston Martin are a slither ahead of ourselves and McLaren, who seem to be neck and neck. RB are not that far behind. Haas is still continually falling off, but you can see from the R&D progress just how close the front 4 teams are. So really, anyone can win from those front 4, although generally it seems to be Charles Leclerc that wins. He got a DNF in the race in Bahrain. His teammate won that one. Then he won the next 3. Then I won in China. Charles had a bit of a nightmare race and finished down in 8th. So whilst he and Lewis battle it out at the front, hopefully they take enough points off one another that some of the rest of us can challenge for a driver's title. At the minute, the constructors is heavily weighted for Ferrari, as it was last year when we won it with Ferrari. But myself and George are doing our best to try and keep Mercedes in touch with them. Currently 7 points ahead of Aston Martin, as Lance Stroll isn't necessarily pulling his weight. Realistic then, isn't it? So let's head to practice and we'll just get the thing underway and hopefully earn as many resource points as possible. Probably going to be a slightly longer episode unless it's a less dramatic sprint and full Grand Prix, but I have a funny feeling in Miami there might be quite a few highlights and a few overtakes. So drop the video a like if you're enjoying the content. Do make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss out on any more of this 4th season. Of course, the Journeyman career mode save on FC25 continues to go live here on the ChesnoidPlays channel, and of course the realistic RTG with Bradford continues to go live on the main channel, so check everything everywhere and come and join me on stream as well and see all of it behind the scenes. I'm going to jump into the car and head out on track, and I'll see you in sprint qualifying. Loads of resource points that at present I don't believe can spend. If we have a good Grand Prix, in fact if we have a good weekend with a sprint as well, even the sprint race, a good sprint race could maybe see us get almost to 90 rated, if not over the edge. Then we should be in a very, very good spot to hopefully soon be able to upgrade the car a little bit more. What have we got, actually, just in general, on the upgrade side of things? Is there anything free at the minute? We've got a couple of things in the works, and then I think we might actually just be waiting then, aren't we? Yeah, we're waiting to be 50% recognition. That's 60, but a couple of the aero ones are 50, I think. That's 60 as well. That's 50. I think George has done the 50% one already. So we can upgrade the rear downforce one more time, or George can do it once we've gotten to 50% recognition, and then everything else is 60 plus. And I'm not going to be in a position to be 60% reputation with my teammate in a top-end team. Really, ever? Not in a top-end team. I'd have to go to a much lower team, and then drag that team forward. There's not much in that at all, actually, is there, in terms of percentage where there is on the ICE? We'd have to go to a midfield team, and just drag that car forward and go in as the number 1 driver rather than a number 2 driver trying to take the number 1 spot, which is the situation we find ourselves in here. Right, mixed conditions for sprint quali and for the sprint race, but how mixed? I don't know. If it's just like a little drizzle and then mainly dry, that is more than a little drizzle.
Only raw speed will
this will be intriguing then.
Today, but the question is, who's got what
Christ,
it
it's
takes
sodden.
to get pole?
We've definitely got the best of the weather conditions then. It might be dry tyre running by the end of Q2, or SQ2 should I say. If we were 2 seconds up on Piastri in 16th, It was really, really average as fuck lap as well. Presumably then that's P1. But by how much after a poor lap but with better track conditions? That's the question, to give us an idea of how competitive we might be when it dries up. 2.5 tenths, yeah. I think it's a case of people went out on the same set of worn intermediates that they did previously and didn't actually set a faster lap time. I don't see any Ferrari there. Both McLaren, my teammate, and Lewis Hamilton out of qualifying in the sprint. First time of asking. Charles Leclerc the only one to make it through, along with Fernando Alonso just. Well, if they can do that in qualifying for the full race, that'd be great. I think a lot of them abandoned their laps. Well, this is going to be P1 again. It's not far off a bloody dry time. 1 minute 30.1. It might not be a P1 actually. It's a P1. Okay, fair enough. I mean, it's dry. Everybody, the data on the screen said that the median was 5 seconds faster. And it looked dry on the little mini monitor, but everyone went out on inters. So I was like, well, I'm not going to not go out on inters if everyone else is out on inters, because if I go out on the dries and it's not ready for dry tyres, I'm screwed. Turns out me and Carlos Sainz were the only ones that did a proper second run. Everybody else just boxed because it wasn't ready for because it was too dry. That's one of the strangest qualifying sessions I think I've experienced, where everybody has gone out on the wrong tyre. But because everyone else went out on the wrong tyre, I've then copied them when it's absolutely a dry track. That was really strange. Right, we will not qualify first now that we get to actual qualifying, because everyone will be on the right tyre at the right time and the conditions will be the same for everyone, rather than me getting better conditions at the very end of the session. So
let's get the car out to the track.
We're already higher than most of our championship rivals. Purple middle, bring it back to within 2 tenths of Albon in 6th. Absolutely butchered the first sector of this lap, so not really going to be standing a chance of getting anywhere near pole. I'm not great around this final turn either, nor out of it. But we'll try and beat Alex's time if we can. Not even close to it. It's a 25. Oh, well off. Well off. Dead lap. Absolutely awful. P10, and deservedly so. That was, for lack of a better word, shit. So the sprint race will start wet and end dry, as you can see there. Finally, we actually have some weather forecast. And quali will just be a washout. But a washout that will see cars on track. The race is fully dry, it just gets progressively more and more dry, so to speak, as the race goes on. There is bright sunshine behind the face cam, so 14 to 5% in terms of chance of rain in the race. I have no idea whether we're actually going to be able to do anything here or not, because I butchered my quali lap so bad that
the weather is
it's hard to tell whether I had any pace or not.
It's time to see how
but we know what the grid's going to look like, because nobody takes any penalties in a sprint. We are starting in quite poor weather, actually, but it obviously is going to...
You've got to work really hard today to keep them cool, otherwise we're going to suffer with our performance.
Yeah, I know I've got to keep them cool, pal, but it's going to dry up. So we're going to be on dry weather tyres at some point in this race, so there will be a pit stop. It's quite a tight turn 1, so being on the inside line here is probably not going to be that beneficial, really, because we're probably just going to get squeezed. So I'm going to want to try and move left as much as I possibly can off the line. It's going to be quite a bit of wheel spin here, one imagines.
The rest of the grid forming up now. Be patient.
They said the rain is drying already, or rain is easing up already. Someone's had a dead start in front. I can move left a bit. Oh, Christ! They were stopping, and then they stopped harder, if that's even a thing. Down to 11th, but everyone is sliding all over the shop at the minute. Jeez Louise, that was pretty wild. Gasly just took advantage, and oh Christ, some downforce would be lovely. Gasly took advantage and made a couple of positions there. I've taken loads of downforce out, so we should be competitive enough in a straight line.
That start was okay. Now stay alert.
It's a case of,
around you.
oh my god, they break so much stronger than you can as a user sometimes. Try and give Hulkenberg some space there. We threw it back up into 10th. Obviously, it's only the top 8 in a sprint race that gets points. So we will need to make some more positions if we're to score anything here today. Alonso's taking the lead, which is at least stopping Charles Leclerc from disappearing down the road.
It's easing off a bit, but the track is still going to be wet for a while. Be careful.
Yeah, we'll probably end up swapping to a dry tyre. Jesus Christ. About lap 10, maybe? I mean, it's still raining quite hard, isn't it? And this part of the track is still very wet. We're getting held up now by Ollie Behrman. Okay. Just gonna have to start making moves. I can't
Nice move. Good job.
Can't really wait much longer. Just need to start trying to get past people. It was from a long way back. Try and move on Albon here. Same one we did on Gasly. Again, saw me coming. It's a bit of a dive bomb, but I've got no choice really. I just have to go for it. We're into the points though. That's P8. Ollie Behrman next, and then a bit of a gap up to Carlos Sainz, as you can see. 3.2 seconds currently between me and he. A couple of seconds between Behrman and Sainz. Try and see off the Red Bull, and then get after the Haas and see if we maybe have enough pace to close that gap.
Okay,
we are closing though.
Keep it up. We're looking at about 10 more minutes of rain. 10
I'm going to go for it. He's going to go defensive. So I will just work it around the outside, sir. Keep it on track. Inside line. Give it up. Thank you. That is P7. Now to get after the couple in front. Why am I now in lean? I think I've had a fuel issue. I'm now in lean. That's not great.
Looks like the ERS isn't functioning. The guys are working on a fix.
Excellent. Just what I need when I finally make it past everyone and want to try and get down the road. My battery isn't working properly and recharging. And I'm also running in lean fuel. Well, this is probably going to be as far as we get then, if they don't fix that very soon. Yellow flag behind. It's going to be a red flag maybe, because a Sauber has spun. Here's Ocon just back here. He's just going to go... And then everyone gets stuck behind him, basically. Ready? 1, 2, 3... Whee! And everyone sits still. That might be a red flag. Which might help me, actually, because it would give the mechanics time to fix the issue, but we'll wait and see if there's a red flag or not.
Right,
there's a red flag. Well, that didn't take long, did it? There's a red flag.
Red flag. We'll update you in the pits. Everyone's okay.
Right, well, that helps with my issue. Hopefully it's fixed by the time we restart on the grid, and it should be dry as well.
Okay. But this is a chance to take a breath.
It is dry.
Another half of this race to go, and there's still
restarting on lap 10 after we were suspended on lap 8. 10 laps in the dry, okay. And hopefully my issue is fixed. Doesn't look like it. It's only got 46% battery. It might be. Nail it around the outside. That went well. That is P7 to P5 right off the start. Looks like the battery is fixed. Oh, red flags helps in China. Red flags helping in Miami too. Lovely stuff. Off we pop. Now then, do we actually have any pace in the dry? Because we don't know yet. Because my quali lap was so bought, I've no idea if I'm competitive or not. A bit of a hopeful lunge. more so than anything else. We'll stay behind Carlos for now. DRS will be active next lap. Some have gone onto the medium tyre, intriguingly. Which we're going to try and do 10 laps on a soft. Which is doable, absolutely. But I don't know whether this is maybe using the soft tyre that would have been available for the race. The full Grand Prix, I don't know. I mean, we'd probably end up having to go medium, medium, hard in the Grand Prix and not be able to use the soft tyre at all. That's a different braking point. On my inside now, I'm going to have to be wary of. They're going to have faster top speed than me here, so I'm going to have to go defensive. DRS is enabled. But we've been able to get, or maintained, should I say, P5 ahead of Daniel Ricciardo flying in an Alpine. DRS is enabled, but I am not close enough to be able to use it. Unless... Where's the detection point? Just round this corner. No, I'm not going to have DRS yet. I am a sitting duck. Come on, Daniel, take the position then. Toodaloo. Not really much I can do here. I just have to hope to only lose positions to Daniel and Max and then try and win them back again. Try and get offensive and aggressive around the outside here, and that has worked for us. Might even... Oh, got that bit wrong. I was going to say I might even be able to try and stay within touching distance of Carlos Sainz here for DRS at this point, but no. Not quite. That's the detection point just on the exit of the corner. We were about a tenth out of it. Should be okay to the end of the straight though here. I just need to build battery back up again, otherwise I'll be a sitting duck every lap. Got DRS on Carlos Sainz through this bit though, which is good. Will keep us in contention and help us defend from behind a little bit.
The Ferrari drivers just moved into first place.
Yep. Annoyingly, whilst everyone else qualified poorly, Alonso and Leclerc didn't. They qualified very well. Currently running first and third. Sainz has just got the line here. I think I might get DRS because I hung back a little bit there. I do get DRS, that might help. Is he going to go defensive here into one?
Gap to your teammate behind.
No, okay. Well, I'll have the position then, sir. Thank you very much. 2.9. Oh my god, in front they are miles away. Purposely not using any battery there to try and save it.
Make a mistake and we could still regain the position.
Because Lewis Hamilton is coming. And I am going to need some battery to try and defend from him because that Ferrari is quack. And Alonso is catching the front two as they continue to battle a bit. A little bit of action here, then hopefully just DRS.
Time to utilise some of this energy. Come on.
Oh my god, look at the pace of Lewis. Jesus Christ! The Ferrari's ridiculous. To be fair, he probably used battery and I didn't use any, but that shows you just how powerful the ERS is when it's in use compared to when it's not. Carlos going to go defensive here, we'll take him, and now we're chasing Lewis Hamilton for 4th place. Ferrari might not be too far ahead of us on the performance index, but on tarmac, it's still very much the dominant car. Seems that everybody behind Ferrari is taking points off each other, but Ferrari is still getting quite a good whack of points, regardless of who's doing what anywhere else. 2 Aston Martins seem to have some pace in them this weekend as well. McLaren are the ones that don't really seem to be performing to the capability of their car. I'm going to have to use all of my battery to get past Lewis here and then hope that I can hang on to the line. Got a very good exit there. And he's going to use obviously all of his battery too. Oh, Lewis! I'm going to get aggressive here. There we go, we've taken him with 2 corners to go, P4. Not bad. Not bad. The red flag definitely helped, but not bad. Right. Now to go and qualify in the pissing rain to then try and get on the podium next time around in the full Grand Prix. We'll take a P4 though. So annoyed that Charles Leclerc still wins though. He's just unstoppable, the reigning champion, isn't he? Hey, we're 90 rated. I told you it weren't going to be long. It happened straight after the sprint. I thought we might need the full Grand Prix to actually make it to 90 rated. We did not. I don't know whether that is me up to 50% or not compared to George. One way to find out is to go in here and see what it says. No, I'm not at 50%. Maybe it doesn't update until after the full Grand Prix weekend. I don't actually know, nor have any idea if I can actually tell from this screen, which I don't think I can. So, quali then, and then the race. Again, some in the garage. I've only done one run. It includes at least one of the Ferrari. I mean, these guys are going to go out. Charles Leclerc, Fernando. Well, Leclerc might just no, because I'm going to go quicker. So Leclerc's out, Alonso's out, Russell's out, Lando's out, Gasly's still on a lap, I think. They just are making terrible decisions, the AI, this weekend. I have absolutely no idea why they're so poorly equipped to deal with these conditions, but they are driving, or more accurately, not driving poorly. First in Q1. Now, hopefully, this time, by the time we get to Q3, I'll still be able to be challenging for pole rather than plonking it 10th like we did in sprint quali. So, as expected, Charles out, Fernando out, George out, Lando out. That's huge. So it's probably going to be a fight between me, Lewis, Lance and Max for a win. I should really turn the battery down through in the race through the Mickey Mouse section, shouldn't I? Just to gain some extra ERS back. Something I haven't contemplated doing previously. Purple sector 1, purple sector 2. So expecting to get through here. And hopefully with a P1 time as well, a 32.4. Wasn't sensational. It is P1 though. We've done both our Q1 lap and our Q2 lap on worn tyres. Doesn't mean much on the Inter, which is probably going to be pretty stable lap time wise. But if I can do that again, then we'll be in a great position. And that's the other Aston and the other McLaren and Max Verstappen out in Q2 as well. We're in a great spot to challenge for a victory here. Lewis on pole with the 32.045 as it stands. That's the target. 34.045. Any sort of 31 is pole. 32.045. I don't know as I'm going to get into the 32s, you know. Well, not the low 32s anyway. Need a 31 if I can get it. That's pole. That's pole for the Miami Grand Prix! Yes! And with minimal rivals around us, although we know how fast Lewis Hamilton can be in that Ferrari, we are on for a strong podium finish at least, barring, of course, any red flag interventions, which we had in both the sprint race and the last Grand Prix as well. So we won't count our chickens just yet, but we're in such a good position to start this Grand Prix that we have to fancy ourselves for something here, surely. We're now beating our teammate in the rivalry, but I don't know whether that means I've now got better recognition than him, whether I'm still stuck at 48%.
Okay, mate, I know it's tough in there, it's hot in that cockpit, but your tyres are even hotter, so you're going to have to work extra hard to keep them cool. It matters for performance.
Okay, so annoyingly, I accidentally skipped the grid rundown, but it doesn't appear that anybody took any penalties. Certainly nobody of any note anyway. So it's myself and Lewis first and second, and then that's kind of it. Lewis is starting on the mediums. Lewis probably going to one-stop here. Apparently a two-stop is quicker for me, but the soft tyre isn't going to last very well, so I would be inclined to go medium hard. The medium is going to run longer in this stint than it would do in the two-stop, so we could consider switching from a one-stop to a two if we want to. We could equally go medium hard and then maybe throw on a soft at the death. Fuel is going to be there or thereabouts really, so I'm not going to take too much out. Can save a little bit at the end of the straight, so we'll put 7 laps worth of fuel in. But I'm going to start on the mediums here. I think a lot of others are starting on the softs. If we can stay ahead of those, and I think going longer with myself and Lewis is probably the best way to go about it. But we live in hope. We're not making some sort of strategical boo-boo and throwing away this fantastic opportunity for back-to-back wins. Charles Leclerc will still probably end up finishing like 4th or something and continuing his title challenge, but the fact that he and a number of others are so far down to begin with gives us a solid chance of a victory today. Lewis obviously has the better chance because he's in the significantly faster car.
Incredible parking there, nice one. That's going to give you the edge.
But if I can hang on to Lewis the same way we did in the sprint,
keep an eye on the lights. The
we're in with a shout.
Will begin as soon as the
just
grid is
don't
formed.
mess it up, Ches. Please, don't mess it up. Here we go. From the off, from the front. We're away. Lewis is going for the lead. I'm going to go deep, try and maintain P1. And we've done so. I got a little bit rude there on the exit, but I'm fighting for the win, and it's early doors in the Grand Prix. FIA tend to let stuff go a little bit more leniently. Turn 1 and 2, lap 1. So I got a little bit aggressive. Obviously Lewis on the medium tyre as well as me. The majority of the rest of the grid is on the soft tyre. You can tell from the delta top left that even with battery here, we were losing quite a bit of time to them behind, although it definitely levelled off there about halfway down the straight, didn't it, which is intriguing. It's probably then just backing off rather than needlessly wasting fuel or battery. I've got that completely wrong, but we've still got about half a second in the pocket. It did anyway, until I completely messed that up too. Right, back to concentration mode, Ches. Doesn't matter if Lewis gets me, I don't think, at this stage. As long as we're within DRS range, it's fine. And we're gonna, I think as a duo, probably gap those behind, especially when those soft tyres start to go off. Just got to stick with Lewis, basically. Don't lose Lewis, and there is a win there waiting. Don't even think about it, says yet. Oh, Lewis has gone defensive. What I could try and do is get in front of Lewis and then hope that he battles with Checo. That could earn us some time, depending on what traffic looks like behind, because obviously everybody on a soft tyre is going to box earlier. So if I can get out on my hard tyre ahead of Lewis before he pits, then he gets stuck in traffic behind and I can avoid traffic somehow. That's the dream scenario here. But we are comfortable at the moment, particularly comfortable, and happy with our situation. But we know that my tyre wear is slightly higher than Lewis's, so his tyres will last longer. We know that obviously their soft tyres will go off in a bit, but then obviously they're going to be pitting for another set of fresh soft tyres that are going to be very quick, especially compared to our wearing mediums, so they might close the gap a little bit. There's, judging by the strategy screen, sorry, I was just concentrating through this part of that. Judging by the strategy screen, there's really not much at all between the two strategies, so it's just about who does or doesn't get caught in traffic, and he's able to maximise their pace. And if we're only stopping once, that means we're only going to be put back into traffic once. Whereas if they're all stopping twice, they're all potentially going to be thrown back into traffic twice, which should hopefully work in our favour. That's the aim anyway. A top 2, I'd say, is almost guaranteed, barring obviously red flags and safety cars. But it is a track where we could see red flags or safety cars. But I'm really happy at the minute with how this is going. We got a podium in Miami last year. Well, I think we had a bit of assistance in getting that. Here, with a change to the setup, no assistance needed. I'm going to go aggressive here. I'm going to go for Lewis. He's going to switch back. He's going to get the position back again. I'm just trying to keep Checo in play so that if I do get Lewis, Checo can try and fight with him.
Perez has just posted the fastest lap of the race.
And then they both lose time. Right, I'm going to try and take Lewis here, and then I'm going to try and save some battery through the Mickey Mouse section. He's going to go defensive. Go around the outside, get the job done. And then try and save some battery here to help defend down the straight. Let's have a look. He's having a cheeky butchers. We'll have the pace here. Lewis will take the lead back here, I think. Especially now he's going to get DRS.
That's us down a place.
It's fine. Just proving that we don't have the pace to gap Lewis when we get past. So we are going to have to rely on strategy here to open a gap if we feel like opening a gap is the way forward. Alternatively, we could just sit tight and try and do to him in this race what we did to him in the sprint and just pick him off at the right time, the opportune moment. Just quite happily sit behind and wait to then just take him when we know we can hold the position for however many minimal laps remain. And the soft tyres on those behind are starting to go now. You notice the gap between Perez and Tsunoda has grown. So as soon as we lose Perez, we're in a decent position. I'm just going to try and get ahead of Lewis here, purely just to get that objective, and then I'm not really going to fight it that much. We'll hold the lead around here, but I'm quite happy to let him take the lead back again down the straight. I'm not going to waste battery just trying to defend something that is pointless. I'll be better off just saving the battery, really. You can have the position though. 14% wear after 10 laps-ish. So we're running at about 1.4 to 1.5 probably by the end of the lap percent on the front right on these medium tyres. Which means we'll be at about, what, 40% on the front right by the end of this stint. Obviously probably going to box a couple of laps earlier than the 25 currently scheduled. So still very much in control of our situation here. Obviously everyone else will be feeling the same. Lewis will feel like he's in control. He's probably toying with me the same way that I'm toying with him. So it swings and roundabouts. He might end up having a little bit of something up his sleeve for the end of the race. I hope not, but he might do. I don't like the fact he's so slow on that apex there. Catches you out every time, then you end up backing off a bit, and then he pulls a gap. And you end up having to use more battery than you might like just to stick with, although we've still got 60% as I stop using it here. Look at the gap back to the other train though. Those other guys balking qualifying is killing them. They are not even remotely close to contention for a podium or even maybe a top 5 without some sort of divine intervention. Some of them might have started on mediums, actually. Who else started on mediums? Nico and Zhou Guanyu are in a good spot, and everyone else is on softs. Max is still 19th after starting 14th. George is 17th after starting 17th. Charles Leclerc is 15th after starting 15th. Fernando's the only one really that's made... Fernando and Lando made some good moves and good ground. 16th to 11th, 19th to 12th. Piastri's 13th to 10th, but they are nowhere. This is exactly what we needed for the World Championship. Now, if Lewis Hamilton could have a DNF, that would be even better. I'm going to try and extend the gap on Lewis here. Probably a terrible idea. It's definitely a terrible idea. It's faster down the straight than I thought he would be. I was hoping to get past him and then get a little bit down the road. Not able to do that. That's annoying. Lewis has shown a little drop-off in pace, though. That was a terrible Mickey Mouse section from me. Okay, we might have very nearly dropped Lewis out of DRS then. Very nearly. Checo has definitely dropped considerably now. Lewis just made a mistake somewhere or just had a poor lap. I can get this right through here. We're out of DRS range. Off we go. Come on now. Now so we have to use the battery. We've dropped Lewis. It's taken 14 laps to get to this position. Just being patient, grinding, do the right thing at the right time. And we might be in a position to start to lose those behind. Certainly we've lost the soft runners now. Expecting most of the rest of the field in this lap. Most of those soft runners will box now or the lap after, depending on which teammate gets preferential treatment. And we're still going for another 7 or 8 laps or so before boxing, if we go all the way to lap 25. Depending on the traffic situation, we might still undercut a little bit, just to protect from Lewis a little bit more. Certainly the undercut is going to be more beneficial than the overcut, provided we're not going to get stuck in traffic. George is in.
The pits now.
It's almost all the field is in the box. It's a very, very busy pit lane right now. Lance Stroll continues to set fastest laps, and he's going to make a few positions here with that undercut. I'm intrigued to see what Lance goes to next. Just dropping Lewis at the right time was so important. Provided there's no incidents of major issue for anyone else, or ourselves obviously. Concentrate. We are in prime position for a victory now. Got to try and close the gap to those at the top of the championship. This will be huge to close the gap on everyone but everyone but Lewis. Lewis will come closer to us, obviously, if he finishes second and we win the race, but it will put him top of the championship, I imagine, ahead of Charles. Still just trying to save battery at certain points of the lap to ensure I can extend the advantage as best as possible. By the time the pit stop comes around, I'd love to be over 5 seconds in front of Lewis if we can manage it. Guan Yu's out. I got really distracted by that. What's happened to Guan Yu? I presume, being parked where he is, his car's just... Oh, it's so unfortunate. Guan Yu was running in the top 4. And his car's let go on him. That's really unfortunate. Guan Yu was in a position for a really good point scoring position here. At least he's not spun in the last corner and caused the red flag, which would have absolutely killed our strategy and our advantage that we've built so far. I got a bit distracted by that and ended up missing the apex on the corner I just went round. The current scenario is we will come out, if we box now, between Yuki and the 2 Hasses, which is pretty ideal, really. So I'd be tempted to box now at the end of 23, especially having lost a little bit of my advantage now. 3.8 to Lewis. But now, obviously, you can see that's come down a bit because I made a mistake coming onto the straight. 3.5. But it now says 6, so I'll come out behind the Hasses. I'll tell him I'm going to box this lap.
Confirmed.
And hopefully we can have a good pit stop. And I can make it out in front of the Hasses. I think provided we're in front of the other Ferrari, that's the most important thing at this stage. the box now. Lap 23 rather than lap 25. And we're going to try and come out in front of the two Haas cars if possible. But it needs to be a very good stop from the Mercedes boys here to ensure that we do. So don't let me down, gents. Do not let me down. We're in. Nailed it to the line perfectly. Got that right. Don't let me down.
We had an issue attaching the right rear wheel.
Of course you did.
It's not ideal, but let's try and put that behind us now and get back into this
So
race.
many screwed up pit stops. It's only a 3.8, not a 4.5 at least. But so many screwed up pit stops in this save. It's been ridiculous. We might still make it out in front of the Hasses, actually. It might not cost us as much as we feared it might. We have come out in P4 with Nico Hulkenberg here, who is yet to box. So, whilst it feels like
currently running too hot,
they're just on. How can my tyres be running too hot? You've just put them on. I feel like this save is cursed for pit stops.
That wasn't quite what we needed, I'm afraid. But look, let's move on. Get your head down and chin up. And
we're going to get DRS here. I really do feel like I'm cursed. I don't know anyone else that's had as many screwed up pit stops as I have in this save, but if they hadn't screwed up, we might even have come out in front of Yuki. I need to make sure I get through Yuki and Nico especially, quickly here. Otherwise it's going to cost me time to Lewis. Valuable time that I cannot afford to lose to Lewis Hamilton. We will get Nico down this straight. Need to get past Nico. So I'm going to lunge it at turn 1.
Seconds.
Job done. If I can stick with Yuki for a bit, if possible, which doesn't look like it whilst he's on those fresh softs, then we could maybe take a bit of advantage of the DRS off the back of the V-carb. Might be close enough, you know. It'd be huge if we can get DRS off Yuki here. And I think we did. That's massive. That might gain us back the time we lost in the pit stops, to be honest. Or at least a certain chunk of it. 16.1 to Lewis. It's definitely more or less than a pit stop. We will come out in the lead when he boxes, which should be this lap, or at least the net lead, because Yuki's probably still going to be in front of me for the time being. Lewis in the box. Now Lewis will come out behind me. He will also come out behind Yuki. Carlos Sainz is now pushing on another set of soft tyres as well. Lewis is going to come out in so much traffic. Obviously they will eventually get out the way when they box again for a second time, whereas we are not boxing again. This is us to the end now. But these soft-tyred runners are on relatively fresh softs. 9 laps maybe, 10 laps at most, compared to our new hards, which are obviously going to be slower. But utilising the DRS on Yuki is great for us right now. Lewis has come out in and amongst both McLarens. Yuki's gone defensive here. I'm going to go for the lead. I'm going to take the lead. And now hopefully we will not relinquish it until the end of the Grand Prix. At 26 of 57. Getting close to half race distance. And as it stands, the win is in the bag. It's the player P3 now. Leclerc's probably going to end up with a podium here, isn't he? At this rate. It's just so quick. We've only got new sets of softs to go to. Well, as far as I'm aware, 1 new set of softs to go to. So if there is a red flag or a safety car at this stage, we will be staying on these hard tyres. The only way we change off these hard tyres is if something happens with less than 15 laps to go. It's the only scenario in which I would put on that soft tyre. hopefully Sainz can hold up Leclerc a little bit here. Annoyed at myself for making that mistake through sector 1, but it is what it is. It's not going to affect our overall race finish. Lewis now under pressure from another McLaren, having been passed by one of the Aston Martins, which is probably Fernando Alonso at this point. He'd probably go as far as to say right now Lewis is out of contention for the win, and even his teammate Charles Leclerc stood a better chance of getting it, who is now up into P2, anticipating almost everybody that's on the soft tyre to be in this lap. And Lewis will... Actually, Lewis might not even be running a net P2 at the minute. He is running a net P2 still. Lance has gone 3 sets of softs. Okay, yikes. Soft, soft, soft. Lance is 3 stopping. It's going to get him absolutely nowhere. We'll see where the gap... We'll see what the gap to Lewis looks like when the pit stops are over. But Lewis is not looking good for even a P2 at the minute, because he's lost so much ground to the handful that were behind me.
George is in the pits.
He's probably
in the pits now.
Going to still get overtaken by a handful. 17.6 seconds. Wow. Pre-pit stop, that gap was 3.5. That is exactly why it was so important not to get stuck in traffic. Because that's what happens when you get stuck in traffic. He might even be running with a little bit of damage now, because I'm really surprised that the gap is quite that big. He might be running with a little bit of damage now, having had a coming together with someone, trying to make his way either through the traffic, or as those that were on the fresher soft tyres tried to make their way through him. As soon as he's running P2, which will be in about half a lap's time, when Sainz and Piastri box, I'll ask about him and see if he's got any damage. George is in and George is out. Stroll is now running P5, although he has another stop to make because he's only run soft tyres so far, so he's still going to finish outside the points. But the gap has opened up to Lewis by even more so this lap. He's got to be running with damage now. There's no way that Lewis doesn't have damage on his car at this point. I refuse to believe that his car is entirely intact. That gap should by no means be growing as much as it is. He's absolutely running with damage, I'm sure of it. The other two are in the pits now. So as soon as he comes up to P2, I will ask about him and they will tell me. He's going to have Stroll right behind him soon as well on freshish soft tyres. Alright, Lewis now behind me. So now let's ask about Lewis.
That's Hamilton.
Does he have any damage?
Okay, they're on fresh hards. Okay, they've done 10 laps on those tyres. Looks like the car behind has a small amount of damage to the front wing, but it doesn't seem to be affecting.
He's got front wing damage.
Be aware. Your last lap time, 1 minute.
I did think it was quite strange that Lewis wasn't able to keep pace when he came out of the pits with those that were around him. I would probably go as far as to say he might have even picked up that front wing damage as he was coming out of the pits, because the pit lane feeds out almost onto the racing line, and he'd have come out of the pits and swung straight towards the racing line, and it wouldn't surprise me if, as he was coming out of the pits, someone came across out of the exit of turn 2 and clipped his front wing. But we thought the win was in the bag regardless. I mean, Charles Leclerc has 22 laps to close down a 23-second gap on brand new fresh mediums, which could be done. But Stroll has taken Hamilton now, and it's a case of can we... I told you Leclerc would probably end up getting a bloody podium. Leclerc's going to end up finishing second. Ridiculous that Charles Leclerc can qualify, what, 16th? 15th. And with the pace in his Ferrari, finish second in this Grand Prix. He might even yet get me for the victory. I'm not going to say anything to the contrary just yet. Seeing exactly where the Ferrari is and how he's doing. He's got a lot of work to do, but there's no reason why he can't take a second to lap out of me between now and the end of the race and put me under some pressure come the mid-50s. I'm going to have to drive clean, hard and relentlessly for another 21 laps to take home this dub. Hamilton now down to 5th and falling yet further. George is outside the points at the minute. 12th. Come on, Mr. Russell, for Christ's sake. Thankfully, I've already got the Constructors' Championship under my belt from our second year at Ferrari. so far, we're managing to maintain the gap well enough to Charles Leclerc to not worry about him catching us. But as my hards get more and more worn, whilst his mediums are in the peak of their powers, then that gap will continue to come down. I do have a fresh set of softs I could go to at some point if we think for some reason we're able to maintain some sort of gap and we can maybe try and get that fastest lap point. Might be something we could try and do a little bit later on in the race. Like Stroll now boxes from in front of Charles Leclerc, who's now under 20.8 seconds behind me. I don't think stopping for a set of softs to try and get the fastest lap is going to be a doable option for us while still getting the win, because Charles is going to close that gap too much. But the win is still the higher percentage potential finish. As we start our last lap of this Miami Grand Prix, the gap has closed significantly from 23-ish seconds to just under 10. But in the battle against the Ferrari, we started off against Lewis Hamilton. He's now running, unfortunately for him, with that front wing damage, I think potentially 18th, which is just so bad. Why would you just not pit and change your front wing and try and make some more time up? He's running second last now, Lewis Hamilton. We started off battling against one Ferrari. We end battling against another. The first one was on track, full position at the time. The next has just been against the stopwatch as Charles Leclerc closes us down. He has continued to do so. Actually, Oscar Piastri has closed in on Charles Leclerc continually through his stint as well, just not quite gotten close enough. Obviously, I've been a bit distracted here during this last lap, talking to you guys, so the gap has come down by another second or so as I've had a rather scrappy lap, but it doesn't matter. In the battle of me versus two Ferrari, it's me that comes out on top. We won in China last time out through fortuitous circumstances, rain falling, 2 red flags. Here in Miami, though, from start to finish, from pole to the flag, in back-to-back races, we are victorious. That is 2 wins for Mercedes now as a Formula 1 driver in this 4th season.
Fantastic drive.
We will hopefully shoot up the driver standings now.
Well done, mate.
It sucks that Charles Leclerc was able to go from 15th to 2nd, because otherwise we might well have closed the gap quite significantly on him at the top of the championship. We only closed by a little, but with Lewis a long way down, my teammate 6th or 7th maybe, and the Aston's not finishing too highly either. 5th and 6th. George 8th in the end. Actually, he took 10 points in the race, so George definitely finished in 5th in the Grand Prix. If we go standings, oh no, actually just results race. George finished 5th in the end, 1 second ahead of Carlos Sainz, who was able to nab at the end. It said strategically that the 1-stop was about the same as the 2-stop for us. If we'd have run the 2-stop, I don't think we'd have won the race. But by running the 1-stop, running alternate to everybody else, Lewis did in the end finish 18th. Oh dear. To be fair to him, Lance ran a 3-stop strategy and was able to come home in the points ahead of Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez. So fair play to him. But he got driver of the day, and I'm pretty sure Charles Leclerc 15th to 2nd is better. 19th to 4th is pretty impressive for Lando as well. And the McLarens keeping up the fight at the front of the field for the Constructors' Championship. I'm now significantly beating George. I've won my rivalry with Sergio. We are flying in this save right now. 49% recognition with George now. Come on! I've got to be the favoured driver now, surely. Proving myself with 2 victories this season. Significantly beating him in the driver's standings now. And in Imola, we know we've got a decent car as well, or at least decent form as well. 90 rated in the RTG. Lovely, thanks. I'm still significantly lower than a number of others though, so still work to be done. Hopefully, we can get another strong result in Imola. I think we won Imola last season. We're going to get the tertiary wing flaps on the front through and done before the race at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix.
New parts have come through without any issue.
Lovely, lovely.
Ready for the next race weekend.
So new parts are in. I mean, we're just running right with each other, aren't we, effectively? George has now done the other floor edge bits there, so until I get 60% recognition now, we are done. Unless George decides to put them on, but he's not got 60% recognition, I don't believe, to put them on either. I believe he might still be able to put them on, and recognition isn't a factor for him upgrading bits, but I don't know. We're maxed out on the brakes, we're maxed out on the weight redistribution. We've got one left on the weight reduction, one left on tyre wear, one left on everything here. Supplier still can do the piston rings, although supplier is ourselves at Mercedes. Durability-wise, we got one left on everything, and one or two left on everything in the aerodynamics point of view. So the car is in a good spot. That's back-to-back dubs for us now. But in Imola, it will not be easy to try and replicate what we did last year and replicate what we've done in the last two Grand Prix here in the save. 21%, 23%. It's not much between some of the parts now, but we're up to third in the driver's standings. That's a big jump. We are now just 8 points behind Lewis Hamilton. Still considerably behind Charles Leclerc, but a few more victories with him finishing second or lower. We're part of the question at the minute of who's going to win the World Championship. Although Charles did have to have a DNF in there. Hopefully there's a couple more DNFs waiting for him around the corner. Like we say, last year we won in Imola, but as ever in Imola, I don't know us we're that strong. I got a DNF the year before in the Ferrari and a P12 in the Haas, which at the time was one of a few decent performances, but weather can make a difference in Imola. We will take a balanced tyre allocation there and pray for decent weather, please. After 6 rounds, we're third in the championship. After 7 rounds, we could be second. And it's a fully dry weekend as well. Are we in with a shout of this driver's world title? Let me know in the comment section if you think so. Drop the video a like regardless. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any more. I'm going to go and record an episode of The Journeyman now, if you don't mind. Join me in the next episode of this, very soon indeed, of course, as ever. Do check the channel page for anything you might have missed in this series or The Journeyman, and the main channel page for anything you might have missed in the realistic road to glory with Bradford. Right. Thank you very much for watching. Back-to-back dubs. Woohoo! See you later.